Hi guys, happy Tuesday. It seems so odd to say happy Tuesday because it hasn't felt like Tuesday at all with being out of the clinic yesterday for Memorial Day. Today's been all off. And let me tell you, it definitely has been a Monday on a Tuesday, but still a great day. It's always a good day to be in the clinic doing what I love, which is helping people find health and find answers. And I'm glad that you're joining me tonight. So, you know how this rolls. We start with announcements. So the first announcement is last week we launched our T-Shape 2 device. It was an amazing day. We did about 11 treatments last Friday. I hope you were able to drop by and get pricing, but if you weren't and you are interested in our body shaping devices that we are doing with T-Shape, you can still get in on the May special. So you can come by tomorrow or Thursday from 7 to 5 and buy into the May special. It is 3 face and neck treatments for $300, cash or check only. And it is only good through the end of May. And the last day in May that we're in the clinic is on Thursday. So if you went in on that deal, you have 2 days to get in. And we recommend buying 2 sessions because a complete treatment is 6 individuals. You need 2 packages there. Also, we are adding specific T-shaped consults. So if you want to have your skin and your body fat evaluated to see if the T-shape could benefit you and do a mini session around 20 minutes just to experience the device and see what it's like, we do a $50 consult where I give you a very honest opinion on, is it going to help? Is it not going to help? What body parts is it going to help? And then do a demo. And that's $50 for a 20-minute demo. So you can call the clinic or email if you want to get in on that. Next up, I am not going to be live next Tuesday because I'm teaching Vacation Bible School. Everybody say prayers for me. I have the 5th and 6th grade class. I'm sure they're going to be wonderful, but I will be at Vacation Bible School next week and not here in clinic doing a live. So I'll catch you the week after that. The week after that, for June 16th, I have a very special guest that I'm doing. So I am taking over for Dr. Barry as he is out, and I'll be doing his PhD live on Monday, June 16th, with Dr. Mark Cucuzella. Dr. Cucuzella has a ton of experience using the low-carb diets. He's worked in the VA system. He is a vet. He has tons of exercise experience. In fact, he owns a store that sells barefoot running shoes. So get your questions ready for June 16th and join me Monday night instead of Tuesday night that week for my live with Dr. Cucuzella and ask away at all the questions that you want. He's an awesome guy. I love chatting with him every time, and I think you will as well. August 5th, if you are in the Middle Tennessee area or somewhere that can get to the Middle Tennessee area pretty quickly, you should join Dr. Barry and I for a live community Q&A. So here's the link at the bottom of the screen that you need to go to. It is free. We want nothing. We don't want your money. We don't want any blood samples. It's a free time for you just to come and ask questions, to learn, to gather information, to bring people that need to learn themselves. So free, open to the community, but we can only hold 120 people. So I need you to sign up. So go to that link and sign up so we know that you're coming. If you're pretty sure that you're coming, but not 100%, go ahead and go to the link and get that sign up done. You will not regret it. It'll be a fun time. It's at the Dickson County building, which is also where the library is at here in Dickson County. So I'm going to give you like 2 more seconds to get that link. I forgot to put it in the show notes because I was running a little behind on my Tuesday that felt like a Monday kind of thing. All right, last announcement before we get into our talk for the day is Low Carb for Better Health. This is an amazing event. If you have never been, you should come. It is so much fun. We have experts in the low carb field, keto, carnivore, metabolic health field that are coming and presenting talks. It's a great connection with other people. You can hear their journeys. We learn from each other and enjoy the socialization. There's great vendors. There's usually a decent swag bag and coffee that is on site for you to drink during that time. We have a coffee sponsor. It's called Life Boost. If you haven't tried their coffee, get out there and try it. They're going to be there offering the coffee for everyone. or actually, I'm going to be offering the coffee. They couldn't come, but they're sending the coffee for me to serve. There's also Route 44 Meats that's sponsoring the VIP dinner. So if you are buying tickets, go ahead and get that add-on for the VIP dinner. And there's several other add-ons, like a guided hike through the park. It's a beautiful time at Montgomery Bell Park, and a PhD coaching experience. That's Dr. Berry's pro coaches from the PhD community doing an experience there where you can learn what it's like to be coached with them and just get that kind of training. So check it out at lc4bh.com. Get your tickets. Most importantly, too, get your room booked, because that will book out. The hotel will book out. September in the park is amazing. So you don't want to miss out. You don't want to get tickets and then have to, I don't know, sleep 20 minutes across town. You want to stay on site. It's pretty awesome. All right. And I'm going to show my information right now too. So if you need a low carb provider, you're interested in working with us, send us an email and we'll set you up for a 15-minute chat so that you can see what it's like to work with us. It's contact@clearpathmedical.net. And if you haven't yet subscribed, go ahead and subscribe to our channels. It will help us to grow our access to other people, to get our message that's out there. So let's dive into the study that I have to discuss with you tonight. But first, when you're thinking of rural areas, I live in a rural areas, there are certain challenges that are there that aren't necessarily in metropolitan areas. One is access to health services. People might have to drive long distances and have undependable transportation to get to health services. Generally, in rural areas, there's worse nutrition. So you see poorer nutrition. You see higher rates of things like uncontrolled diabetes and heart disease in rural areas. And I can tell you from researching and doing the data at Dickson County, which is in Middle Tennessee, about an hour west of Nashville, and the 6 surrounding counties, we definitely fit this bill. And when we're thinking about chronic conditions, self-care is extremely important, and you have to take responsibility for yourself. But when we also think of things like diabetes, intensive interventions like diabetes education and chronic care monitoring, it's greatly beneficial and has showed improvement in diabetes, not access, but diabetes progression. When we look at the data from rural counties across the U.S., 62% do not have access to diabetes self-management programs who teach persons with diabetes how to control and reverse their diabetes. 62% don't have things that show patients how to check their blood sugar, what a normal blood sugar is, side effects of medications, foods and nutrition you should or should not eat. Just have no access to that. And that includes my county. There's no intensive diabetes management in Dickson County or the surrounding counties. And I know many, many others in Tennessee do not have this as well. So this particular study, it was done to assess the outcomes of an intensive virtual diabetes program versus a community education program that was already in place and how that affects diabetes in these rural areas. So the title of the study was Virta Intervention in Communities in Colorado. It's the Victor pilot trial. The objective was to assess, like I said, the impact of a virtual program using the low carbohydrate diet, which is what Virta is known for, combined with the community interventions that were already in place, possibly like through their health department, to help support their cardiovascular goals and their glycemic goals. The type of study is called a cluster randomized open label multi-site pilot study. So what they did is basically they looked at all of the different sites that were already doing this community intervention through like their health department, and they randomly selected 3 of them to be part of this study. So they're clusters because they're a cluster of the where the intervention was happening already, or part of the intervention was happening already, but they randomly chose 3 out of all the ones that were actively running. They enrolled 51 individuals with type 2 diabetes, and the duration of the study was around 3 months. The primary outcome that they were looking for is they wanted to see hemoglobin A1C, that's your average blood sugar over 3 months. They wanted to see that change from baseline. And your secondary goals, so that was like primary goal, secondary goal was to look at reduction of medications, changes in LDL cholesterol, changes in fasting glucose and triglycerides and HDL ratio, And they also wanted to look at patient-reported quality of life outcomes. Did they see their quality of life improve? So there were 3 different health centers that were chosen in Colorado. So yes, these were similar to health departments here in Tennessee, but they were called health centers there in Colorado. Participants were between the ages of 18 and 79, all had the diagnosis of type 2 diabetes. All of them were on at least one medication for over 3 months for their diabetes. Their hemoglobin A1C would be 7.5 or greater. So the starting point to say you're diabetic with that hemoglobin A1C is 6.5. So all these people were a little worse off than just starting, or, just over the line, as we might say. All of them had to have a body mass index over 25. So they were either overweight or in the obesity category to be in this. And they had to have the capability of engaging in virtual care, which can be challenging in a rural setting, except for most of this virtual care can happen via cell phone. And most people in the rural areas do have cell phones. They might have to move to the right part of their farm or their house to get the access to the internet, but they had access to it. The people in the study, the average age was around 59 and a half years of age. Their average BMI was 34, which is in the obese category. And when you took all their A1Cs together, it was about 8.5. So you had some lower, some higher. So some people at that 7.5 and some people closer to the 12. It was mostly female. 65% of the people in the study were female, and it was mostly Caucasian individuals, which Colorado is mostly Caucasian. So it's 92% Caucasian and 4% Hispanic, and the rest was other. So let's talk about the intervention. What was what? So you had these 3 groups. One was the control, and the control group was doing what Colorado was already doing through their health department with these individuals. The intervention did what Colorado was already doing with their individuals and added Virta services on board. Virta Services is a virtual program that promotes the low carbohydrate diet, and it delivers it through a smartphone app, through an app on the phone. It includes a lot of remote monitoring and support from health coaches and medical providers. So individuals will get additional consults with medical providers and frequent connection with health coaches. They're also submitting their data, like their blood sugars and things like that, their weights, and they're getting real-time feedback. So constant communication, connection, or as much as they're willing to buy into. So I think you hear my word connection a lot in there. Frequent connection, frequent accountability. Well, what was the baseline? What does everybody get, whether they're in the intervention study or they're just in what we call standard of care? So the program is called the Colorado Heart Healthy Solution, and it provides education on cardiovascular disease and behavior changes that connects the participants to services. So they focus on educating on things like portion size, making sure we don't overdo our portion sizes, decreasing sugar-sweetened beverages, increasing the intake of fruits and vegetables, decreasing the use of fast food, and increasing physical activity, and overall eating more whole foods and less processed foods. So I'm going to stop there because I want to point out that if you are decreasing your portion size, you're cutting sugar-sweetened vegetables or vegetables, drinks, beverages, you're eating more whole foods, fruits, vegetables, meats, eggs, things like that, and less fast food, you're going to be low carb. Maybe not all the way low carb, but you are reducing your carbohydrates because you're cutting out the sugars and cutting out other things. So that'll come into play important down the road. But they also connect you more with mental health workers and primary care workers to help you get access to other services that you might need. And they don't really say how much connection you get already with this program. I would assume with primary care people, you would be in that standard see you every 3-month kind of pattern, not necessarily as intensive as what the Virta group is doing, where they're talking to you almost on a daily basis. So what are the results? Well, the hemoglobin A1C reduction, that was their primary endpoint, what they were really looking for. And what they found is that there was a reduction in both groups. And the people who got the care that was involved with the Colorado program, that was a reduction of 1.2. And with Virta, it was 1.5. So with Virta, it was a little bit higher, but not as much as, well, but not statistically significant is what it said. There wasn't a statistically big enough difference to say that it was a better intervention just based off of the primary income or primary outcome. Weight loss, a higher portion of the people in the Virta group lost weight compared to the Colorado group. Remember, Colorado group was to everybody. Everybody got that. It's just 2 extras got the Virta interventions. And they were looking for a greater than 5% reduction in weight. And so more people in the Virta group achieved that. There was a significant net decrease in the number and the dosage of anti-hyperglycemic medicines in the group that did the Virta plus the Colorado study. So they did also see a reduction of medications in the Colorado study, but a significant number with the Virta was higher than the Colorado. Patients were engaged. They had very similar participation in both groups. They had about the same amount of retention rates or dropout rates, if you want to look, depends on which way you want to look at it. So both groups held pretty strong there. So the conclusion in this Victor pilot study, it demonstrates that a virtual low carbohydrate dietary intervention with support is feasible and accepted well in rural counties. So it proves that you can use virtual things in rural areas and see good impacts there. Both interventions saw a decrease in A1C and improvements in health. So they didn't really see a big change there, which seems like it's a downfall in the study or saying that the Virta stuff doesn't work. But I don't think so, because I think when you look at what Colorado is already doing, many of those people, like I said earlier, are already reducing carbohydrates. Yeah, they're going to reduce it further in the Virta group, and you did see a little difference there. The other thing that I think you would see is with that intensive outpatient connection that's there. I think what you're going to see at 6 months, 9 months, 12 months is the people with Virta have stuck around longer because they have all that connection that's there. All right. Now you may be asking, why did I choose this study? It's not a wowing study. It doesn't give us a lot of good extra big information. It's because when I started Clear Path Medical, you may have heard me say that I wanted to apply for a grant through the state of Tennessee. And I wanted to do a grant specifically for a diabetes program. My county doesn't have a great outpatient diabetes program. The surrounding counties, Dixon's a hub for their healthcare. It doesn't have a diabetes program. They don't have interventions like that's already there. And my grant proposal that I sent to the state of Tennessee was almost identical to what Virta is doing. I mean, when I'm reading the study, it's the same verbiage, it's the same information, it's the same endpoints that I put in my grant proposal. Now, sadly, I didn't get the grant. They turned me down. I have my reasons for thinking they did. Maybe I just wasn't a great grant writer, which is very possible because it was the first one that I put out there. But there were some also very larger hospital systems, bigger systems that received grants, and not as many small little clinics like mine. But I digress. But this gives me hope. This study gives me hope because it tells me essentially there's been a proof of concept. My concept that I have has already been proven and it works. So the idea I have is going to be effective, and that makes me happy. So I'll slowly keep working to bring this service to Dixon and the surrounding counties. Why? Because my community needs it. The people around me in my community are dying and suffering from diabetes and its complications and heart disease and its complications, and they need this. And I'm not going to be able to make it happen overnight, but I do want to make it happen. And so I'm going to keep working towards it. And this study brings me hope because it's proof of my concept. My concept works. I just need to get it there. What do I want you to take away from this? It's definitely not the, oh, woe is you, Amanda, you didn't get your grant. No, I'm still very hopeful for that. But what I want you to take away from this is if you have a chronic illness, obesity, diabetes, hypertension, whatever it is, successful treatment and remission takes intensive support. I would argue both of these interventions, the one Colorado already has in place when people were participating, is a pretty intensive intervention compared to just standard of care of showing up and seeing your doctor every 3 months. So when you just show up and see your doctor every 3 months and have labs to monitor your condition, it's not going to improve. It's not going to get better. But both the controls, man, they did get better through these interventions. So if you have these conditions, I highly, highly recommend that you seek out support, something that's more intensive than what your primary care doctor can give you, whether it's an online program that support or whether it's an in-person program. If you're in one of the 22 states that I'm licensed in, I would love to be that support for you. I have a health coach on hand. I have a LPN that works with me. I'm here. We can help you with your medications. We can help you with the support. We can keep you accountable. We can guide and direct you. I don't want your condition, your chronic condition, to be your identity. It shouldn't be who you are. We want to help you reverse your condition. You don't have to be owned by it. And that's why I do what I do. It's why others in my field do what I do. And so I encourage you, even if it's not with us, go find that support, because that's what it takes to not just control, but to reverse and to not let that condition be you. You don't have to be diabetes, hypertension. You can be that person that used to have that. So one more time, if you want to work with us, that's the email address that you can check out. Also, remember to like, subscribe, all those wonderful things so we can keep getting our message out to the greater population that's out there. Dr. Kim Berry and I are working our heinies off to try to get this information out there. Join us for the community event. There's the email address. Come out, learn, bring people that need that hope, because we want to get them that message of hope. And lastly, Low Carb for Better Health. It's an even better place to come, because you'll get a whole weekend full of hope and information that is science-backed and straightforward, that you can understand and take and apply into your own lives, not to mention just have a great time with other people there in a beautiful setting. So that's all I have for today. I hope this message was inspiring to you, even though it wasn't this magical study that proves, I don't know, that the color blue cures everything, but you get what I'm saying. We still need stuff like this. And this is something that gave me hope, even though it didn't look like it would when I first read it. All right. Remember, no live next week. And then the following week, we'll be doing something different. So see you later, guys.